Big Brown is back. You muted yourself, bro.
Oh, goddamn. Goddamn. I thought I pressed the button, man. I
What?
thought I pressed. We're gonna roll. We're gonna roll with that. That's gonna be the first fumble of 2021. We'll remember this. Remember this in time to come. Unmute yourself before you start your podcast. Episode number one, lesson number one. People of 2021. There is the first lesson of the year. Unmute yourself before you start talking. I'm very well. That's Wild Brown. How are you?
I'm, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm great. I'm great. I'm feeling good.
It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, man. You too as well. A few weeks off.
Yep.
It's like, where's your wenched out face in front of me, man? Every Sunday. I'm missing it.
Chunky wenched out fish right now. Christmas has done me, man. Christmas has done me well.
Yeah, done everyone well.
That's the one. That's the one. I got to apologize to our viewers first up for saying we should have been on last week, but through my own circumstances and not being able to make it back on time, we couldn't make it back to Leicester on time due to traveling. We couldn't actually shoot last week, so this is a week late. But we don't start 2021 without Evolve Achieve Thrive. So it starts right now, people. It starts right now.
It's
Welcome
here.
back.
It's here right now. And yeah, you've gone back to the roots with the name, man. Big Brown.
I have, man. I have. Do you know this? I've been thinking because we've had 3 weeks off now, right? And I think the first week didn't really think much about podcasts. It didn't really have many life anecdotes to feed me the thought process of a name. Usually it comes to me in the week, like something will happen, and I'll be Gardner Brown, or I'll be something, whatever. I don't even know, right? But this time nothing really came. And apart from like 2 or 3 days ago, where you talked to me about what we were going to talk about today, which we're going to get into goal setting, and it got me thinking about previous goals. And probably the most synonymous goal with me was me and my weight loss and my weight gain first. So that was my actual initial goal, was to actually get to the gym, get strong, and gain weight, which I don't know if people know this, right? So I intentionally went down that path, which sounds a bit bizarre. But the name links back in with the goal itself and what I did wrong, what I did right, and just kind of fills out around this premise that we want to talk about today with our listeners around goal settings. I initially revisited my initial goal. That's actually started to form who I am, right? Like people know me by, okay, you've lost a lot of weight and now you have a larger frame, so we call you Big Brown, right? So okay, cool.
Yeah.
But it's all related to this goal that happened once upon a time. So it's going to be a bit of a story around that. I think we'll get into that in a second. What's the preamble around That's Wild Brown?
I spent the last few weeks just saying, like, the thing I said the most was, "That's wild." That's all it was. I was just like, I watched like several documentaries. I was just like, just seeing what was going down with the world, and everything was just wild. And so I kept saying it, and I was like, yeah, that's my name. That's me. Set. Everything is wild. And I kept saying, "That's Wild Brown. That's wild." And hence today we have That's Wild Brown. So I don't think that's going to let up anytime soon as well. I think with the way shit is kicking off in 2021, I think I'm going to be saying "That's wild" quite a lot. And stay tuned, peeps.
For sure. We were talking about we were busting lines from Tropic Thunder before we came on, but I feel like it's a Tug Speedman video. That's wild too. That's wild again.
Yeah.
It's still wild.
Exactly.
That's what's
Exactly.
going to be. Late March. Yeah. Yep.
Exactly.
Still wild.
His movie's what, called Scorcher. I'm like, man, the world's on fire. And we're just gonna keep saying, that's wild. That's wild. So I just found myself saying that a lot, and
man.
It was just on the front of my mind.
I'm glad something came to you the same way that it came to me, man. But definitely came through. Do you know what? I'm not actually. I sound like I've been living in a cave, but I didn't even know what happened in the US. I didn't even know what happened with a lot of stuff that's been in the news recently. I'm kind of happy about that, but at the same time, I feel like I should be reading a little bit more than I am right now, but
Yeah.
man, I got bigger fish to fry right now, I think.
Yeah, well, exactly, man. It's like forget it. Don't worry about it. It's like most of this shit you see anyway is just is like. I mean, I got a lot to say about the topic, but it's not an Evolve, Achieve, Thrive podcast to
Yeah.
to go into a topic for the podcast to go into. But essentially, I think it's a good thing to stay away from all the media because I posted a picture recently into my Instagram stories where my housemate sent it to me. Such a nice little picture. It's just somebody who's wearing a raincoat, wearing an umbrella, is outside watching a TV where the TV is showing thunder, lightning, rain, but they're outside wearing an umbrella, holding an umbrella, wearing a coat, and it's sunny out. So you can just imagine that, right? Is the influence and the resonance of that picture? It just says a
Yeah,
lot, right?
man. Yeah, man.
And yeah, I think that kind of sums things up nicely. It is like, all right, well, don't have much control over what's going on over there, so stop watching the shit that keeps telling you everything is awful and go about your own shit and sort your own shit out and live your life as best as you can.
It's actually sad. That's
Yeah.
like deeply sad. Sorry to start the podcast off on a weird note, guys, but, that's actually made me sad. Like, wow,
Yeah.
wow, man, what the hell? But
Mm.
I guess we are the antidote. Hey,
Yeah, man.
brown. So yeah, I guess everything we talk about is probably in direct opposition, and hopefully that
Mm.
person with the umbrella turns that news station off and starts listening to some
Yeah.
Evolve Achieve Thrive, right? So
Oh,
we
like
best. God.
not an actual person. It was a cartoon. It was a cartoon
Ah,
image.
sorry.
But
Okay.
it might as well be. It might as well be. It's just a metaphor, right? But
Fuck yeah.
it might as well be.
Too right, man. Too right. Yeah, I like the fact that we're both standing here as well. This is a
Mm.
the first thing we can say to our listeners right now is if you're listening to the podcast, sat down, stand up, right,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and
Get
feel
pumped.
feel your hips and stop sitting so much because that's something
Yeah.
that's literally started to whack me out towards the end of 2020 was
Mm.
sitting down, typing, doing some work, making sure clients are good, making sure I'm doing the things that I need to do on my laptop, and sitting on my bed, sitting on sofa, proper bad hip pain, man. Sitting down to travel sometimes,
Mm.
and not bad hip pain, but like when you've so Nick Daniel programming for me the end of last year or like half of last year really started to change, and we're probably going to get into like a bit of a reflection on
Mm.
2020. So we talked about this before we came on. We're going to chat about that for a bit, guys. Um, One of the things that I feel like I was blessed with last year was working with Nick. So first shout out is
Mm.
to Nick D. Thanks, man. Um, from an education standpoint, from a mate standpoint, from someone to talk to for great advice, all around swell guy, right? And one of the things he did for me was he trained me, right? He wrote my program for me, checked in with me, and my hips started to feel way better. But then toward the end of last year, sitting down a lot, just started to slowly tick, 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 just like hammer away at the wall that he had made around this part of my body, which felt really, really
Yeah.
secure. All of a sudden, I'm getting little chinks in the armor, and I'm realizing that it's because I'm not standing enough. So it was quite nice to turn the podcast on today and be like, oh, I've got a lovely new internet connection. Thank you, Mom.
Yeah.
And we can now stand at the back of my room, and you're doing the same thing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly, man. It makes a difference. I realized because I was like, I'm just going to make a bit more of a concerted effort to stand up. So I was starting doing sessions like standing up, like
Mm.
the video call sessions I do with my clients standing up. And I was like, I've just got more energy to give. It just feels better doing that. So
Mm.
it kind of it helps you think better as well. So that's what I've like certainly noticed. But it's one of those simple things. Like I don't know if anybody ever notices, but whenever they like take a phone call, if it's especially if it's an important one, you kind of
Mm.
you stand up without realizing it, and you just
Yeah.
start pacing around a little bit. It's because while you're walking, you're engaging more of your brain, and it just you feel a bit more cognitively
Mm.
sound when you're doing that. So I felt the same. I felt like in terms of just actual energy and vibe that I brought to the calls, I just felt they were better by standing up as well. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to try and do this more. I didn't think I could do it, but I just improvised a little bit in
Mm.
my place. and I've just got like one thing stacked up onto another thing, stacked up
Yeah,
onto another thing,
quite literally.
but making it happen, man.
That's that Indian desk
Yeah,
right there. No, I'm not gonna buy no desk.
yeah,
Make my desk.
yeah.
What you on about? What you on about? So spending money on this shit?
Exactly,
No.
exactly.
I
And
love
then
it. I
like
love
in 10 seconds time, everything's just gonna fucking collapse.
it.
Yeah,
I love it. Love it. Yeah, man.
yeah,
That's what you said about standing up. I feel like that's a metaphor for like aligning the body, aligning the mind. So we're sitting down, and there's literally a kink in your shit, right? So like you're
yeah,
just you're relying on this big ass sofa or whatever to hold you up. But if you're standing up, you've got much more clarity through your body. Everything's kind of there, and yeah, man. I feel like it can flow much better. You're right. You said about standing up for client sessions. I did the same thing this week, and I felt, like you said, much more present, much more animated when it comes to G'ing up my clients. I think that sometimes like we can be lost over Zoom. Where one of my good mates, Anthony Sutton, put it like, "There's no intimidation factor when you're over the internet." And it's true,
yeah,
right? You see these trolls, like kind of, if it was real life, you would say shit, but at the same
yeah,
at the same time, it's if you're training your client, you need to get up your client a little bit to be like, come on, let's go.
yeah,
You can't really do it over Zoom because you're just 100 miles away. It's like this is
yeah.
not fun, but I feel like standing up definitely gives you a bit more of that juice.
The authoritaire, in the words of
Yeah.
Eric Cartman.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, man. For sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
that's great, man.
You got me with that one, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So I think we chatted about this before. We didn't kind of full circle with it. But starting off, G, let me ask you, what would you say off the top of your head are a few of your personal growth points from last year? And that can it can go in any direction you choose. What would you like to share, man?
um, there's a few. I think personal growth. Where do I start? I would say mental fortitude,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. I think because obviously the nature of the year and how it threw everybody into a mire and created a ton of uncertainty and created a ton of anxiety for a lot of people. When everything kicked off with COVID and lockdown, I was like, shit, I don't know if I'm going to have a business anymore. And after a period of like just kind of being frozen, one of the core reactions to stress is like, fight, flight, freeze, just froze, and then kind of just slap myself out of it,
Mm.
and just got moving and just realized, all right, well, what is it that I need to do? What is it that I want to do? What is it that I wanted to do for a while, but because there's no distractions now, I said it a few times over the course of the year. It was like being in a sensory deprivation tank with all of your external stimulus taken away from you. So you have to deal with your internal shit, right? At least that's how I view it. And I was like, okay, well, what have I got that I really wanted to do, but I've been putting it off because of the external stuff. And so I just bit the bullet and took action and just
Mm-hmm.
created my online program and started delivering things exactly how I wanted to. And where previously I may have, for whatever reason, may have lacked the confidence to do it. I was like, well, I've got no choice, so I'm gonna have to do it this way, and just realized that, built that mental fortitude by doing that, and built my confidence massively by doing that, and realized that I've got a lot more to offer than I previously thought, and that makes me feel good because that's me working towards fulfilling my potential as well. And every time you're working towards fulfilling your potential, I mean, it's actually bad for your health physically if you're not working towards fulfilling your potential. It's like there's actual evidence for that now as well. So I feel good doing that, and I felt like that was a really, really big step for me this year in terms of my personal growth. Was just taking action when it was needed, knowing
Mm-hmm.
that I could do that and pull it off, and the mental fortitude that got built with that, and then also training that repeatedly and consistently over the course of the year, and realizing how important that was for me to do that on a regular basis so that I'm excelling and generally feeling good and feeling fulfilled, and not letting other things just like stop me from what makes me feel good and fulfilled.
Mm. I
So that
love
was
it,
a
man.
big part of it.
I love it. Usually you're the one who comes with the Andrew Huberman, but this time I'm coming. I'm
Yeah,
coming, man. I'm coming with it. I've been watching a lot of
you
his
did.
videos recently. What you just
Yeah, yeah.
described was the well, because you've introduced me to him, right? So I'm gonna get into my special things from last year.
Yeah.
It's like you're top of the list, G. Right? So so what he was talking about, one of his recent videos that I'd watched was exactly what you just described. Like so
Right.
the the obstacle appears and we have an initial response like you described, like freeze, flight, fight, and that's innate to the body, right? We sometimes don't necessarily have control over that, but what you did was you stopped and you analyzed it and you realized that the only way you wanted to go forward was like with forward action, and he relates
Sorry, bro.
forward.
I'm just gonna. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but
No.
your mic on your headphones are just rubbing against your
Oh
top
shit,
or
okay,
something,
okay, let
so
me
it
zip this
just
up.
keeps rattling. Yeah.
Is it better?
Yeah. We'll see.
We're back.
We'll
We're
see what
back.
happens.
All right, cool. I'm gonna try and keep still. Fidgeting too
That's
much.
cool.
Yeah, man. No, thanks for the heads up, man. Thanks for the heads up. Tell a good story. You miss half of it.
Yeah.
If I do this, because that's off the t-shirt now. Tell me if this is good. Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
keep
Yeah.
my
Just
lines
carry
with
on.
people.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice,
We're
nice.
good.
All
We
right.
can.
So yeah, I was just relating what you were saying back to what Andrew was saying in one of his videos, talking about how forward action and dopamine have this direct correlation. Like what happened to all of us was stop, lockdown, get in your house, stay there. And at the time, or whether we agree with it or not, it's what happened, and we've had to deal with it in whatever way we've dealt with it. And the one way he outlines that we should be looking to deal with it is by creating any forward action that we can, and that's exactly what you just described. And the link there that ties back into what you talk about a lot, which is neural circuitry, rewiring the brain, and actually having a positive outlook and a positive outcome from something traumatic is to act forward, is to move yourself forward in any way you can. And that sometimes can be done through physical action, but sometimes can also be done through mentally working through, which is going to lead to physical action. That's what you just described, like sitting down and doing your program for your clients. I bet that's something that you've wanted to do for a long time, but you've not had the stillness, to actually act on that. But lockdown give you that. Lockdown give you that kind of fright. But all of a sudden, you've pushed forward and you've said, like, you know what, I'm going to deal with this on my terms, rather than kind of being dealt with. Yeah, man, I really, really like that. Really respect that. It's definitely something that I can say I've had my own experience with finding yourself at a crossroads and then being like, okay, what do I do now? Like actually stopping to stay still, to look at your life like you described so many times, like from a bird's eye view, and seeing, okay, right, well, if I continue on this path, what's going to happen? Like,
Yeah.
what will become of me? And seeing it that, you know what, I won't be fulfilled if this continues for much longer, and then deciding that, look, I've got the power to change this. Let's start putting things in place. And you talk about this all the time. As something that I'm going to segue onto mine, is celebrating the small wins and using
100%.
that as again, back to Andrew Huberman and his research, as the constant affirmation of forward movement. And that
Yes.
links back in. I'll be listening, man. I'll be listening. I'm happy with this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, boy.
Links back in
Relay it,
to,
man.
yeah, man. It's how it feels good, because genuinely, this is on my little list of what 2021 wants to be for me. Because yeah, tying in with what you've said and what you've taught me last year, this has to be something that I do going forward, because it's not something that I've practiced in the past, and I can see the detriment generationally through my people, not just
Right.
me, but I'm a product of what's come before me. But I am
Yeah.
also, a, 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 makeup of what 2021 wants to be for me. Because genuinely, this is my list of what 2021 wants to be for me. And I can see the detriment generationally through my people, not just me, but I'm a product of what's come before me. But I am also a makeup of what 2021 wants to be for me. Because genuinely, this is my list of what 2021 wants to be for me. And I can see the detriment generationally through my people, not just me, but I'm a product of what's come before me. But I am also a my forefathers and foremothers, I don't know if that's a word, but what they have seen for themselves. You know what I mean? How they've seen themselves, and that makeup is also in me, and I've seen that presenting in certain ways. But then when you suggest something like some of the things you've suggested, now I'm like, okay, you know what? I need to add that to me. So yeah, what you've just said there, man, totally on the money. Totally agree with it. Love it.
Yeah, respect. Yeah, man. It's been a it's yeah that's a big thing to take away. I think is creating that forward action for yourself in whatever way you can, because what's your other option? You know, it's like if you're just gonna stay where you are or like retreat into safety, is like you're essentially falling backwards and you're not getting something out of something get you're not getting the most out of life, and there's the like the level of like without realizing it, it just creates this low grade level of frustration about things that are going on around you, and you can project that out. It's just one of those things that happen. I know it from like personal experience of like procrastinating a little too much and in times gone by, and then kind of feeling like things ain't great, but then realizing actually if I actually take action, then things feel better. It literally changes how I feel about the world and I feel about myself. So and that's a huge thing to take away. Is in the face of an obstacle, if you choose to move forward, you actually respond with that dopamine hit, and that tells you that you're doing the right thing, and you feel better for it. And that's what dopamine does. It makes you feel better, and it tells you that you're on the right path. It rewards you for taking that path.
Yeah, man. So I'm standing literally. The camera this week is underneath my Rocky poster. You see my Rocky
Oh yeah,
poster?
no, I
Yeah.
haven't seen it.
Oh, it's legit, man. It's like it's the line from Rocky, just like
Rocky
Rocky
Six.
6. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
you want to go for it? I can see you firing up.
There's
Give,
ain't
give
no
us a.
sunshine and rainbows. That one.
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
very mean and nasty place. And I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it.
I'm timing my drink really wrong today, innit? This is
Yeah.
brilliant.
Exactly. Don't be
Love
spitting
it.
that stuff out, man. Don't destroy the camera. Don't destroy
But
the poster. Yeah.
yeah, beautiful poster,
Yeah.
lad. Yeah, that it's Rocky, right? Like what you just
Yeah.
described in terms of forward movement. There's a reason why we watch him kind of running up the stairs and like running through Philly and kind of,
Yeah.
hey, how you doing, Rocco? You're Padre,
Yeah.
giving it all that, right? You're just like, this is great. He's getting out there in the world. He's moving
Yeah.
forward.
You got the impression in you as well.
I've got the impression, my man, but you know what? I can't speak in your presence with the impressions. This
Bro, no.
I
Don't
lower
do
my
that.
gaze. I lower my gaze.
Nah, man. Don't. This is all about raising levels, man. This ain't about lowering levels. Bring
Well,
it.
you know, Rack. I know a thing or two about a good impression, you know. And
Yes. Yes. I love it. I love it. We're gonna have
maybe
to
I can
do.
show you a thing or two, you know. Just,
That's excellent. I love that. That is too
I
good,
don't even know
bro.
which movie that's from, but
Yeah,
there you go.
it's
There you go.
all of the Rockies, all of the Rockies, bro. That's gonna have to happen. I think we'll do a podcast one day where you do the Rocky voice throughout the whole thing, and I'll do I don't know whatever Al Pacino any given Sunday voice
Pacino,
throughout the whole
please.
thing.
Yes, Pacino. You're going to leave with a sore throat, and I'm going to start crying
Yes,
halfway through because I just
yeah,
love this. But yeah, man,
yeah,
I'm down.
exactly. That's it, man. Tell me about your reflections as well. So you're talking about what you like recently learned from Huberman and that taking forward action
Dude,
stuff. But yeah, what was it for you for 2020?
Huberman. Okay, so yeah, we'll play tennis with this a little bit, to quote Mr. TJ Singh. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, it's been this podcast. 100%. 100% been this podcast. That's the catalyst. A big catalyst, because if I think about my trajectory, I said before we came on air, like I can clearly remember 2019 January, clearly remember 2020 January, and now we are 2021, right? Some things, well, in this context now, having this forum to talk and express and review and be left with ideas, and yeah, this has been huge for me, man. Absolutely huge, because it's given me a grounding to just speak, like just actually speak freely speak
Yeah.
with confidence. And now what episode 37? I think we started it. What did we start in March last year?
Yeah, just April. Yeah,
April.
first week of
Wow.
April.
God damn, man. That's come back to be a year
Mm.
old. So
Yeah.
proud.
Yeah,
And
exactly. My baby is all grown up.
37 years young.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man. That's the thing that I think clearly take away, because it's just giving me
Mm.
exercise in a different way. I
Yeah,
value I
man.
value my exercise, my physical exercise, and what it does for me mentally. But then
Mm.
standing here, sitting here, being able to just run these channels gives me so much. Not just
Mm-hmm.
not just from, well, firstly from our interaction, which is just lovely, man. Just a
Mm.
beautiful time. Just a beautiful time, right? But
Yeah, man.
then through the guests, through their stories, through interacting
Mm.
with people, just interacting. I think that's the main thing, is having intimate interaction. I
Mm.
think that's the thing I can call it, is because we talk about real shit. You know what I mean? We actually talk about
Mm.
real human shit, and we can get into the nuance of training and this. We love that stuff as well. But when Grace comes on and she talks about, like, what it feels like to change as a human being, and
Mm.
when we've got Jude on, and she's talking about like her life teaching her certain things, and then you can hear it because it's emanating from her about how this has
Mm.
fundamentally changed her being.
Yeah.
To be involved in that weekly, man, that's
Mm.
powerful. That's super
Yeah.
powerful. You know what I mean? It's super
100%.
necessary. There we go. First one of
Yeah.
2021, right?
We're in. We got it in.
Yeah, early as well, man. Early, 26 minutes in, we're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that's the first thing. That's the first thing. The big growth point. Because I remember, so the year
Mm.
before, to finish off the point I initially started with, I was in London with my flatmates that I lived with when I was working in London, and we'd have these amazing evenings where we'd sit down, we'd just talk, and it would feel like this. You know, it'd have the same sauce, right? The same kind of spice in the air would
Mm.
would go,
Mm.
and it would just go places where you think, wow, this is actually experience where we're sharing and we're growing. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it would be like 20 minutes, you wouldn't say a word because you'd just be sitting there
Yeah.
listening, being in the presence of someone's story. And it happens here. You know, you'll tell me about things. We'll have people on. We'll both just take away like a really powerful lesson, and then like we always talk about the week ahead is
Yeah.
we're like the Ultron, right? We're just fundamentally changed by that, and you just start walking around in your new body and your new mind. You're like, wow, this is great. This is just better. This is just better.
That's it. Exactly,
Yeah,
man.
man.
I feel the same way. 100% is one of the best things you could have done was set this up. It was just one of those things as well. You know, it didn't come out of like, it was just like, I don't know, somebody just kind of dropped it on us and was like, you two should do this.
Mm.
And it just kind of came out of nowhere, right? And we
Yeah,
just
man.
thought, all right, fine. We'll just record a conversation and just see what happens. And
Mm.
but yeah, for all the reasons that you say, is like it's an exercise of itself, and you get to train yourself in a different way, and the kind of clarity I gain from doing this, because articulating what you are thinking is, to me, is just, yeah, it's incredibly important to be able to do that, because I don't think you really understand your own thoughts and your own beliefs if you can't articulate them to someone else that well.
Mm.
Um, that's a thought, and is because you can have a bunch of stuff that's milling around, swirling around in your head, and if you don't know how to piece that together in a certain way, then I don't think you really understand it that well yourself. So it's been a great exploration of that, to have this podcast and just talk freely about these kinds of things. That's certainly, it's been a massive part of my growth as well over the last year, and it ties in with the mental fortitude and the forward action and stuff, because it was one of those things like, let's just be consistent. We don't know where it's going to
Mm.
go, but
Mm.
let's just be consistent and keep going with it, because we're at episode 37 now, and I feel like we could literally talk for hours and hours and hours. It's in a way, it's kind of a shame that we've got other shit to do, and that we've got to call it off for 2 hours. But
Mm.
yeah, there's a lot of power to what we've been doing with this personally, and like, the kind of feedback we're getting from people who are listening as well is really heartwarming, is really humbling, because they're like, it's important to some people have said it's giving us comfort in knowing that these kinds of things can be talked about, should be talked about. Because I remember like your sister's feedback on that was like you're inspiring people of our generation to talk about these things, and that was really humbling. And then other people kind of having their eyes opened as well with the kind of things that we're talking about, and that's what it's about, man. Is it feels really good to be able to do that, and just be in the process of helping other people level up by us just being us and doing our thing, and getting better at doing our thing as well. I feel like so much better off for doing this. If we hadn't done it at all, I'd feel like there's a cloud in my brain. I get to lift this cloud every time we do this and have this conversation.
Too right, man. Too right. I love what you said there. Because it's I liken it to, okay, so I'll go training by myself, I'll go training with TJ, and we'll get to do rounds or we'll get to do reps and sets. And this is another 100% so necessary. And you said, I can't remember what you said now, but it's if you're right, because if we don't get the chance to do this, we don't get the chance to, yeah, that's what it was, you said, to formulate thoughts and to express them to somebody else. But I feel like I'm saying this to you, but I'm just saying this of me. You know what I mean? I'm kind of just being me in this moment. Just happens that you're there to catch the voice on the other end and respond in your own way, and obviously to share your own experience. But what you're giving me is a forum that I'm not crazy. I'm not walking around my own room just talking to myself. I actually have this sounding board, right? And hopefully I provide this. I'll provide the same for you. And yeah, the repetition of doing that, of forming myself in thought to somebody else, is huge. I've talked about how like that was genuinely a problem for me, right? Genuinely not a problem, but an obstacle to overcome. And it's always been something that I've wanted to forwardly act upon, and there have been forums in which I could, but this is the newest, most appropriate, most in line with me forum I feel like I have ever experienced in this sense. So it's huge, man. It's been really, really big. And the other end of that is sitting and reflecting, and like in the week when something comes up, I'm like, oh yeah, we'll talk about this, and I'll formulate thoughts around this, because because as a result of doing this, you're connected to yourself. You're what's the word? You're putting your own experience out there, but then you're also thinking about the wider implications of this, and you're seeing how, okay, can I talk about someone else's journey who can inspire somebody else? Can we get somebody else on the podcast who can talk about X, Y, and Z? Yeah, man, it started with us, and then it's kind of built out. And I know we talked a little bit coming on about the plans for it going forward, and I can just see it going to really special places. So yeah, definitely a really, really big addition in last year that's made 2021 start with a very, I don't know what the word is, but I just feel a better version of me. I feel the best version of me. Like I'd say the version of me from 19 to 20, as in 2019 to 2020, was improved in some ways, but wasn't fully fulfilled in all the spectrums as much as I feel more fulfillment right now, and this is a big part of that for sure.
Yeah, big time, man. 100%. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful to you for doing this with me, man.
Likewise, my man. Likewise, my brown brother.
Yeah, exactly. It's like again, just keep thinking of the day when I see you again.
Yeah, shit. Yeah, you're right, man.
Like babyface style. When can I see you again? Just like stop.
Dun, 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 dun. That's what it's gonna be.
Exactly, just running in slow motion to each other. As yeah,
Apollo Creed and Rocky and Rocky 3, yeah, on the beach, just jumping up and down. Yeah, so happy.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Oh man, that's a hilarious image right there. And yeah, man, it's been a big part. I mean, clearly, yeah, for throughout 2020, it was a major thing that started to do, that we started to do, and yeah, just absolutely, just never going to regret any of that. And so, and that's an important thing as well. As like again, I can just say, you know, hand on heart, I feel like the previous year that's gone by, um, I feel like I've made progress. I feel good about that, and I feel like I've done some good stuff, and just it just feels like it's the beginning. And I know some people feel a little bit weird about saying they might have had a good year,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like, don't make any apologies about that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're just showing the way. You're showing that no matter what shit comes at you from left field, you can still do well, and that's I think that's what everybody can take away from that. It's like it shouldn't be like, oh, I'm sorry that I had a good year. Like, nah, you had a good year. Just that's it, full stop, and just yeah, because you're showing the way. So don't apologize for it. Because everybody who's in the same boat is just what can you make of it? You know, it's like
Mm.
some people are going to have it harder than others, for sure. There's no doubt about that. But doesn't matter the level that you're at. You're going to be able to you're going to be able to bring yourself up.
100%, man. 100%. Yesterday, I
Mm.
had a conversation with my mum, and it
Mm.
turned into a story about abundance.
Mm.
And it was really interesting because her mum, before her, I'm starting to see where my seeds have been planted, man. It's
Yeah,
deep.
man.
These roots are deep, man. Fuck.
It's
I'm
so important to understand that, I think, as well. But yeah,
phew.
go on.
Yesterday was powerful, man. Jesus. I know the the how can I say this? Yeah, I just got a very clear understanding as to it's been coming. You know, I'm not. We're not accident in terms of the way we talk and the way we kind of
Mm.
come out with things. We're
Yeah.
fruit. We're fruit from trees
Mm.
years old, man. Those
Yeah,
trees are
man.
strong.
Yep.
And yeah, it was just talking about like what. So what when you just said that somebody can look at last year and feel sad almost that well, I had a good year. I actually had 2020 was really great. Um, it's I feel like that person's operating from a place of abundance and they're seeing what
Mm-hmm.
they do have as opposed to what they lost or as opposed to what the
100%.
world's taken away. And
Mm-hmm.
that isn't anything to be ashamed of or isn't anything to be sad about. It's just the reality that you're choosing to see.
That's it.
And if you look outwardly at the world and you see what has been taken from you and you focus on that, you don't have. You have nothing to give now because you've given your power away and they've taken it. But
Yeah.
if you return to yourself and you see immediately what you have, first thing that I usually think about is
That's it.
if I have that, I'm
Mm-hmm.
good. You know, I'm just good, right? And we know what it's like not to have that, like you, Sylvia.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Choking us out.
no more for you. That's it. Out. Just
Yeah.
so just to have that at its base, you can move forward, and that's because stripping everything back and just realizing that look, I have this, and then I have intention, and with that intention, I can gain a bit of knowledge. With that knowledge, I can go and really affect and be effective in my own way. Um,
Mm.
that's everything. That's absolutely
Yeah.
everything. Shifting the perspective in terms of okay, yes we lost a lot, but we gained so much last year, and that's the
Mm.
first thing I want to say is that like the rhetoric out there right now is that 2020 was a shit year, but 2020
Mm.
was a shit year, but it's like, no, what? Like
Yeah.
yes it was, but people die every year. People face hardships every year with or without
Mm.
coronavirus. I remember seeing a lady in Asda a couple of days ago, and you know when you see somebody who's heavily physically affected by disability, and it just
Mm.
puts it into wild perspective. Like I'm over here
Mm.
worried about me not being able to do a box jump, and this
Yeah.
woman has never climbed a flight of steps in her life, or she's never had the ability to look up because her spine is fused in the downward motion. I was like, oh wow,
Mm.
like that is obviously you have these examples all over the place, but when you see something like that, you're just like, you can't say thank you enough. You just can't say
Yeah.
whatever to the powers that be, that whatever you believe in, the universe, God, whatever, you
Mm.
you just feel so limitless. And I feel
Yeah.
like operating from that perspective in any scenario should be a goal. Like what do we have? But what can we go
Yeah.
with? But what
Yeah.
what is in the tank? What ammo do we have left? You know what I mean? Don't worry about
Mm.
the clips that are empty. Like, yeah, cool, toss them aside. They don't serve you
Mm.
anymore. But what can we fire now? that's what we got to look at. So yeah, man, yeah.
Exactly, man. And especially you get like in, just like studying indigenous populations who compared to us, like they have nothing, quote unquote, and they're happier than the average Western person. And you're like, what is that about? It's like, because it's not, it's the perspective that they have on the life that they live. They have the things they need to be an effective human being. They have family, they have social connection. In fact, like we know as well, a little bit of suffering is actually important for us to feel fulfilled. If we don't go through any level of suffering, then if things are too easy, it's kind of like Fight Club. It's like you end up being that person, in that case, that guy who's like consumerist. Everything's a bit too easy, but I'm an insomniac because I can't figure my shit out and I don't know why I'm bothered by things the way that I am, and why I can't feel like a fulfilled human being. You just take the perspective of somebody who we perceive, of a group of people we perceive to have nothing, and realize that if they can feel fulfilled, then we can feel fulfilled, we can feel good, we can feel happy. It's just kind of removing that distraction. And you don't even have to compare it to the woman who's like heavily disabled, for example, and be like, I'm thankful for everything that I've got, because don't know anything about her, but potentially she's thankful for everything she's got as well. And if she has that kind of line of thinking, she's going to get a lot out of life. And so she might even be more thankful for everything, for what she's got, than us, and showing more gratitude and actually feeling good about life and moving forward. So I don't, for me personally, I don't feel like we have to even compare ourselves to anyone else as well, to be like, oh, I'm actually quite thankful for what I've got. It helps to give us perspective, but I don't even think we need that. I think all we have to do is just look at ourselves and look at what we actually do have, and no matter what little thing it might be, no matter what shit you're in, there's something you can be thankful for, and that can propel you forward. And we know that from neurobiology, neurochemistry, is just having gratitude actually what's the word I'm looking for? Having gratitude gives you resilience against stress. And it's been shown for that to be a thing as well, where people who have people who are have a mindset around stress that it's bad for them, they have higher all-cause mortality. But people who have stress but feel like it's good for them, in the sense that they see it as a challenge and need to lean in, and it's a way for them to progress in life, even if that stress is inordinately higher than the people who say they've got lower stress and experience higher cause mortality. Even if it's higher, because of their relationship to stress, their all-cause mortality is lower. So you could have, basically, simply put, you could have the same level of stress as somebody who perceives stress to be bad, and you perceive it to be good. You're going to have more chance of living longer than the person who believes that the stress is bad. So that's wild, is the way you perceive it. It's wild. Exactly. There you go. This is what I mean. I was like, that was one of the things, like, I was finding out and reading about over the holidays, and that's wild. It's like it fed straight into me just saying that phrase over and over and over again. So when you think about it that way, and think about the fact that you do live in abundance, you do have everything you need to succeed in the way that you need to, then nothing can bring you down. You just hold yourself to that, and that certainly applies with what we do. I always try and bring it back to the fact that we're talking about achieving physical potential, because that's our line of work in health and fitness. Because if you just keep thinking, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that because I have this limitation, I have a dodgy back, or I have a busted knee, or I'm too overweight to be able to do this, I don't have the energy for that, then guess what? You're not going to be able to do those things. But if you believe it's like, no, actually I have the capacity within me, I just can't express it yet. So you have that abundance mindset around it. You're like, okay, I'm just going to do the thing I need to do to get myself to have that capacity that I'm looking for. And all of a sudden, your knee stops aching, your back stops hurting, you start to lose weight, you start to improve all your health markers because you appreciate where you're at and move forward from there, as opposed to feeling like you're constrained and you're limited and you don't live in abundance, you're actually living in constraint.
Bruv, I just thought of the best two quotes. Are you ready? You ready? The first one that came to mind, I think it's Henry Ford, when he was like, those who believe they can and those who believe they can't are both usually right.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, so it just ties in. But then second one, straight up, it's you. It's Captain America, right?
Yeah.
It's Captain America. He's like, I can do this all day. It's like he's done. He's actually done, but he's of the mindset that he can do this all day still, right? Like,
yeah, man.
That's just if that's not abundance in terms of I got this. What? Come at me, Thanos. Like, come on, let's go. Right?
Exactly, man.
That's where it's at. That's where he's operating from, and it shows. It just epitomizes everything you've been talking about in regards to abundance and operating from that, as opposed to any other weak mentality, man.
And I swear to God, I use that line in my head when we're wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm getting fucked up, and I get up and I'm sweating balls and friggin' I'm dying. I can barely take a breath in. And I'm just like, I can do this all day. I can do this all day. I can do this all day. And I just keep going, and it keeps me going, man. It keeps me going. And that's like, and that actually ties back into what you're talking about with forward action and dopamine, but in a different kind of way, because it's a subjective thing as well. So you can actually introduce a dopamine boost to yourself and make yourself feel good about the scenario that you're in. Regardless of the scenario that you're in. So again, it's like the power of the mind affecting your physiology. So if you have that subjective experience, or subjectively tell yourself, okay, this experience is hard, but I'm going to lean in and I'm going to enjoy this, and this is good for me, then it gives you that extra, gives you something more to see the thing through. Whereas if you're like, I'm fucked, I don't feel so good, if I use a wrestling example, if I was just like, I can't breathe, I'm sweating so hard that I've got no energy left in my muscles. I mean, if I try and collar tie this person, I'm just going to collapse on the floor. If I'm thinking those things, and I'm not going to have the same level of energy. But if I get up and I tell myself I can do this all day, it gives me that burst in my circuitry where I don't actually physically like have more energy left in my system. I don't have that, say, that glycogen store to access, but it's the neurochemistry that has given me that extra bit of boost. So
I love that.
You have to believe that whatever the challenge that you're going through is something as simple as me trying not to get choked out on the mats and the wrestling, or whether it's going for sprints, or if it's lifting some weights. If you just tell yourself, it could be the line, I can do this all day, or whatever gets you G'd up, to subjectively to experience it in a way which gives you that little boost, do it. You need it. It's useful.
Fucking love that, man. Absolutely love that. That's the recent one I was watching with Huberman. He was talking to Ed Milet, I think. So cough real quick, guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah, a huge.
There we go.
Yeah.
And he said word for word what you said. It's not a glycogen store that you tap into. It's neural circuitry, right? You said it word for word, and that it's cool because it's like, oh, I have this other energy. I didn't realize I had this. Like, this has just been here the whole time. Like, what it's called belief. Oh shit! Like, let me go play with this now. Like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need the burger. You don't need the 1,000 calories. It's like, okay, and yes, there's certain things that operate at the mind, at the level of the body, but certain things operate above that, and physically. It's above the body, right? So it's like it's a higher level. It's got you gotta think more higher level to access in a way. You know what I mean? Like you can't just be worried about, oh well, I'm not physically optimal here, or haven't quite got the right position there, or I'm not trained enough to do that. It's just like just believe, and just have a bit more have a bit more forward thought in you, and you'll figure something out. Man, because half the time you're on the mats, you're not, especially when you're in that state, you're not thinking about winning, you're just thinking about surviving, right? And then eventually, something might present itself, you should jump on it like it's the only thing that'll ever show again.
It's like the only piece of food you'll ever eat again. That's how you jump on that, man.
White belt squeeze comes out. You're just like, let's go. love it, man. I love it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's great.
100%, dude. 100%.
I miss it.
I'm gonna take us to. And did you want to say anything else more on that one?
No, I was just
No.
saying, just talking about wrestling again. I'm just like, I miss it.
Today, same up, man. Straight
Just
up.
want to do it, man.
When you were talking about it just now, I was like, genuinely just bouncing in myself, just like, yep, let's
Yeah.
go. Konatai. You said Konatai. Oh man, you said Konatai.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Haven't heard it
miss
in a
it, man.
while.
Recently, yeah, just been thinking a lot more about when I first started in London with you guys, and I
Mm,
remember I've had this thought a few times now, and it was just fun, man. It just felt like
yeah.
just when you go to the playground and your mates are there, and it was just
Yes.
like, oh yeah, what's going on, like you're not really, but we didn't really know each other, but we were just kind of in to just have a good laugh together at the
Yeah.
start, right? That's how I felt very
Exactly.
fortunate, man.
Yeah, man. It's
To
that's what it is. That's what it is like. It's just like I'm just playing. Well, you
yeah,
got to start treating it like that. At first, I was like, oh, this is yeah. I just realized basically the more I treat it like play and just proactive about it, it's like play fighting kind of thing. It just there's more to be gained from that as well.
too right, too right.
Yeah.
But apart from the guy who comes to practice with no base layer underneath his gi, it's like, mate, it's not ADCCs, mate. Just calm down,
Yeah.
relax. No one's getting a world.
Exactly.
No one's getting a gold medal today. Can you put your chest
Exactly,
away,
man.
please? Yes.
Yeah.
But
Put your chest hairs away.
put your chest hairs away. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you don't play with all the kids on the playground, do you? Just play with the cool ones. Play with the cool ones that wear rash
Yeah.
guards. That's it.
Yeah. Exactly. Be the cool kid. Wear a rash
Yeah.
guard.
Wear a rash guard. Don't be double strapping around here. Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
What were you going to say? You said you wanted to take it to the next level.
Yeah. So next thing I'd say, just in reflection,
Mm.
is education from last year.
Mm. Yes.
The pre-strip course, the Nick Daniel Fitness Rebels internship, doing Kayla's female anatomy course. Yeah, man, so many insights that I've never had before lockdown, and then just getting flooded with so much so quickly. Genuinely, man, it's taken things up a few levels in terms of coaching,
Yeah.
in terms of kind of finding other people, in terms of like breathing mechanics and going a level deeper than the musculature, and be like, wow, this is so much here. So yeah, that's probably another thing that I want to just be aware that last year brought me, and change the game, man. To change the game, it's put a new wind in the sails. You know,
Yeah.
when you know you've heading in one direction, you're thinking, okay, right, well, this is where I want to go. But then you see something,
Yeah.
you think, oh shit, this is actually a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish that documentary hadn't chose that name, because I feel like that you can't say the word game changers now without thinking about veganism. You're just like, God
Yeah.
damn it.
Without thinking about a false propaganda version of veganism, it
Yeah,
was like
exactly.
that geezer just they just produced a documentary which was scientifically not viable. So if anybody has seen that and you think it was like the shit, sorry to break it to you, it's
Yeah.
not. But at the same time, if it helped you here's the tricky thing about it, right? It may be bullshit, but if it's helping make people make a healthier food choices, that's a great thing. Like, I'm all for that. But it's based like it's just giving you wrong information. It's like
It's just cheap, innit? It's just cheap.
yeah, it's just it's stupid. It's just like basically building. It's like Dark Knight Rises, building your city on a lie, like Harvey Dent was the savior, and then everything
God
just came
damn.
crashing down afterwards. So it's
Deep.
like don't build it on a lie. There's truth that you could actually use to help you make better decisions about the health choices you make. But there's so many things that you watch like it's a documentary, especially nutrition ones. You like it's a documentary. I'm like, all right, check yourself because it's probably not a documentary. It's like it's always like somebody just pushing one particular kind of version of what's healthy, but skewing the data, skewing the findings. Yeah, good. Just bang on about that one, man. But essentially, learn how to make healthy food choices, and you're good. You're golden. And if it helped you do that, great. If it didn't, then wipe out everything you learned about it off your brain.
Yeah. Spit that tofu burger out right now.
Yeah, exactly, man. Spit it. Get rid of it.
Just what?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't need that shit no more.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. No, it's like, I mean, and this is like, I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. Is like, this is not me saying veganism is bad. It's
Mm.
not at all. It helps. It helps people. Just depends on your circumstances. So it's just basically choose your information wisely to act on. Um, but but yeah, there was something there that you said as well. But you talking about the education that you went on, right? So what helped facilitate that? I want people to understand this. This is so sick. Like, I know that you said when lockdown started, you deleted Netflix.
Mm.
That is, dude, that is such a big balls move. I love that move because everybody's going the other way, right? They're just like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to be at home for a bit. I'm furloughed. I'm just going to like eat and just watch Netflix. You're like, nah, I can see where this could go. I'm going to get rid of that shit and I'm going to educate myself. And you signed up to Prescript, you signed up to McDaniels, you signed up to Kayla's Anatomy Physiology for Women course. I'm like, I was like, that's such big respect, man. You just knew what could happen, and you're like, no,
Bro,
I'm not gonna let it happen. That is taking good action, man.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I've
Yeah.
lived that life already. That's what I mean. I've lived the lockdown. I've lived
Yeah.
that lockdown life already. I'm like, you guys don't know what's about to happen. I like
Yeah.
it's that bit of the horrible way. I was like, should we split up? It's like,
Yeah.
no, we should definitely
Yeah.
not split up like that. Like, no, Freddy Krueger gonna kill you first, then he gonna kill you, then he's come for me, right? So no,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, man. I feel like that was one of those autopilot moments where it was just like, okay, we're doing this. We're not worried about any other noise coming out. I just know that this is the way to go right now.
Yeah.
So don't even think about it. Don't negotiate with your mind. Don't give it time for external influences to come in. And this is about the time when Michael Jordan's thing was coming out about what
Oh
was it
yeah.
called? It was
The
called The
Last
Last
Dance.
Dance.
Yeah.
It was sick. It was so good.
Yeah.
Everyone's raving about it, and I'm just like, guess I'm gonna have to wait for someone to pirate this shit and just
Yeah.
watch it at my own time. But this
Yeah.
is yeah, man, yeah, it was definitely a good decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I love that decision, man. When you told me it, I got so pumped. I was like, yes, this is
I
what
got
you
rid of that
call.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. This is what you call just doing the right thing, man.
I
Just, I'm
think I
gonna
said that
do
on
the
the
right
first
thing.
podcast.
Yeah.
I think it was on the first podcast.
Yeah,
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 we're
I think
talking
so.
about
Yeah, I think it was.
yeah.
That
I
was
was like,
brilliant,
nope,
man.
we don't need this in our lives right now. This has got to
Yeah.
go. Yeah, man. But what about yourself, dude? What about yourself? Where else did 2020 put you in good stead?
Just, yeah, I think, I don't know, man, just getting a grip on everything a little bit more as well. Just trying to build what some might call anti-fragility, you know.
Mm.
I haven't even read Nassim Taleb's book. I will get around to reading that. But, yeah, like I think it was over the holidays or right at the beginning of them, I sent you something. I was just, talking about robustness. You know, is
Mm-hmm.
what it was my own thoughts. You know, it's like, what does the world need? The world needs more robust people, and because when you look at it from like every metric that I can think of, it's not looking good for people. And so, I mean, like mental health is on a downward trend. Physical health, that's on a downward trend. Mental health, in the sense that, okay, like, all right, I'm not just going to say these things. If we're actually looking at numbers, like, let's say, for example, teenage girls are more influenced by social media than teenage boys. They do have an influence by it, but for example, they tend to suffer the consequences of the negative aspects of social media more than boys tend to, for various differences between girls and boys. But basically, suicide rates and self harm rates are on the way up. Adult suicide is on its way up. And when we're talking about physical health as well, like the World Health Organization, whoever it was, by 2050 is like basically 2/3 of the world population is expected to be overweight and obese. Then you're looking at like spiritual health. I feel like a lot of people are actually quite lost in terms of what they believe in, and it doesn't have to be a higher power. I'm not talking, if that's not for you, that's not for you. But it's just in terms of their core spirituality. I think it's actually an important part of living life is to have some level of spirituality and a belief in a cause of some sort, and because that gives the vibe that, you know, it makes you do more because you realize that, okay, I'm a part of something greater. And when you realize you're a part of something greater, it makes you want to pull your weight even more. Then there's like, relational, social stuff. We're like, obviously, clearly from last year, we're as disconnected as we've ever been from other people. So we don't have as deep relationships as we thought we did. Then, and that's like kind of getting worse. I mean, like I think, like Sweden, for example, their population, like 50% of their population live alone. Which is mad. And
That's wild.
then, and it's kind of heading more and more in that direction. It seems to be, especially for city-based dwelling. And then, so what is that's like five? I think I said like five different domains there, and then like financial health as well, like people's general ability to accumulate wealth is getting harder, and the middle classes over time is going to show that their wealth is going to be eroding. So their ability to accumulate is getting harder, and then whatever you do had, the value of that is going to be eroding. So it's like, and economically, so you just look at everything that's going on, everything is just fucking madness. You're like, all right, every metric that I can possibly think of what it takes to live a fulfilled life is on the decline. And there's two ways I could look at it. You could be like, all right, this is pretty fucking depressing, or nah, man, I'm going to do something about that, and in my own little way. So for me, it's like, well, I don't want any of that, and I'm lucky enough to say that I've been gifted that life by my parents and by my family to have good relationships, to be able to create good relationships, to have that capacity to think for myself, all these different things. And so I have a good sound basis in good quality mental health and relationships and all that kind of stuff. But that's not a given. It's like, just because I had the basis of it doesn't mean that I get to keep it. And I have to work on keeping that and curating that. And so I just want to, in whatever capacity I can, just make sure that I'm doing the opposite thing in whatever way that I can, and to whatever degree that I can take that. And that's a part of fulfilling my own potential. Like I said, feel better when I'm doing things which help me fulfill my potential. If I'm not doing those things, I don't feel particularly good, right? So purely from that perspective. And then I sent you the thoughts that I had about that as well, which was so on that basis, if things are on the decline and we're getting weaker as a society, what the hell do we need? We actually need more robust people. And then the problem that's part of that, like it's like a solution. It is not the solution, it's a solution. But a part of the problem with that is because of the various degrees of fuckness that there is. It's there's a lot of confusion about how to achieve like good quality mental health, good quality physical health, good quality relationships, and all that kind of stuff. And so what I want to be able to do is what I know about, or like those different domains, especially like I'm talking physical health here. If I can like take on clients who are ready for that change and ready to be like, okay, I don't know how to fulfill my potential in this domain, I need your help with that. And that's one extra person who's improved themselves and broken away from that downward trend that we're seeing as a society. That's a win, And I think the more people that can do that is the greater the effect. Is what you were talking about earlier, where you said affecting. Well, we were talking about it off air, where you're like, okay, this affecting me, but then that's affecting my family, and then that family is affecting other people. So what you know and what you're capable of, and when you fulfill your potential, you're able to influence a lot more people around you, or it makes the lives of other people around you better as well, just because you've done better for yourself, and so there's the ripple effect of that. So by me doing my thing, by you doing your thing, we're going to be able to help create a solution, or be part of a solution to that problem of this downward trend in quality of living. And so so that was a big so that actually relates to 2020, because that was a big realization for me. It was like, okay, well, if I do my thing, if I don't do my thing, then I'm a problem, and that means I am somebody else's problem as well.
Mm.
And that's bullshit, you know. So if I take agency and if I take responsibility and I do my thing, then I'm by extension helping other people out, even if they don't take on my services on a professional basis and look for my help from trying to achieve their physical potential. Is just by me doing my thing, I am affecting the world around me in a better way.
Too right, man. Too right. This is it, man. This is what you just said there is fundamental and foundational on so many levels, man. And I feel like us doing what we're doing here, the evolution of it will naturally be wider reach, and well, that's what we're always hoping for, right? To reach people, to make them think, to bring them in, and to see the change that we talk about in ourselves in the world. Like you hear that all the time. Like you want to see change in the world, well, change yourself first. Make that change in yourself that you want to see in the world, right?
Yeah.
Paraphrasing, but whatever. And it's, I feel like the key is making sure that the next person is able to identify the flaws in themselves and the improvement points in themselves. And it's like us talking about it here and now is fantastic because it gives us the juice, the fuel that we need to go forward to affect the rest of the people. But the key for us is anyone listening to this, you've got to do what we did and identify where, okay, we're frozen right now. Where do we need to improve to go forward? You personally, like I'm talking to you listening to this right now. You personally need to know and be self-effacing and be, okay, this is a weakness point of mine. I can't converse with other people. I can't convey my thoughts and it makes me frustrated. Cool. Figure it out. Let's figure this out because what you have to say is valuable. What you have to say is valuable, not just for you. Well, firstly, sorry, let's keep it about you. It's valuable for you because like G said, if you don't figure your own shit out, you're someone else's problem. And that puts strain on the whole system. We see the NHS, we see society, right? And it's just, it's very, I don't know what the word is right now, but it's almost like hands off, not my problem. Not my problem. Like you see, this is the worst example of this, right? You see people not putting back their trolleys in supermarkets. I could kick a man, I swear, so far that I don't see putting his trolley back. I just think, this is what's wrong. Like, do you not understand that the world is the way it is because of shit like that? Like, come on.
Yeah.
And then you got other people, like literally other people, me, putting other people's trolleys back. Like,
Yeah.
I'm risking my coronavirus life right now by touching your dirty ass trolley, right? But I'll do it because I'm just like, this is people need to see this shit. People need to see someone else taking responsibility for all the shit. And all the shit can be is largely my shit. That's mine. But then you have to eventually do the other person as well. You're jiggling the camera over there, G. What are you doing, man?
Yeah. Sorry, man. I just got like vigorously writing something down.
Oh, I love it. Okay, yeah, man.
My bad.
Great point. Getting ourselves to the people, but then the goal from that is, okay, guys, let's come together on this, and we're gonna sit and talk about this because we talked about this before we came on today. About how we're bringing Evolve, Achieve, Thrive forward and what's actually got to happen for us to start making systemic change in ourselves, which is always going to be an ongoing process in our families, in our homes, and then wider than that in our communities. Joining homes together and joining people together. It's just a course that's being shown to us, isn't it? It's we are like, it's a call to action that, okay, the world needs it right now. What are you gonna do? Sit on your hands? No. We have to the I can do this all day mentality is only for this. This is the end goal. You know what I mean? Like kind of that's where it's making us go. Yes, we can wrestle sometimes, and we can sit and, I don't know, have some chill time. But ultimately, when you stand and you figure and you look outward, that's the work. Yeah, man.
That's it.
Do you want to shift on to? Well, I suppose we're talking about goal setting now, anyway, can't we? We're not really. Yeah, we could. I could tell you a little anecdote about this. You asked me earlier about the Prescript T-shirt. So G and I both studied Prescript level 1 last year, and we're both now Prescript level 1 coaches. Yay! And as a result, you in the mail you get a Prescript t-shirt. So it came through the post to me, and I looked at it and I put it on. I was like, God damn, this fits well. Like, I'm happy with this right now. I am happy with this. And immediately I was
I
like,
felt the same as well.
yeah, right. It's a nice quality t-shirt. Yeah,
Yeah.
whoever decided that, good job,
Yeah.
peoples. But immediately I took it off, and I was like, nope, feel it, like enjoy it for a second, but attach some meaning to this, because I feel genuinely proud that we've done Prescript and we're both out
Right.
there
Yeah.
spreading the good word and being of the Church of Gains. Like this is the righteous path, right? And
Yeah.
immediately I was like, okay, right, well, what can I do to make every time I wear this t-shirt feel special?
Yeah.
So what I
Right.
did was I
Sick.
set a goal for myself. Of I've got to front squat a certain amount. When I do, I get to wear the t-shirt again. I get to wear the t-shirt full
Yeah.
stop. I get to wear it now freely. I've unlocked the
Yeah.
t-shirt. You know what I mean? Like, you go into
Yeah.
your Zelda Legends of Tomorrow video game, and you see this special armor. You're like, oh shit, I can wear that armor. Yeah, can I? Can I? You go and try and purchase it. It
Unlocked.
goes, eh, and
Yeah.
it gives you that kind of, please try again in about 20,000 coins or whatever. Right? I have to
Yeah.
go and gain that commodities first, so I can come back and I can claim my prize, which is sat in my cupboard right now. It's just sat there folded up. But every time I'll fish it out every so often, because it feels really nice when you touch it. I'll fish it out and be like, oh, I'll put it back. Oh,
Yeah.
put it back. I keep forgetting. It's like I've got like 5 black t-shirts, and I'll wear the other ones, but that one won't get worn because it's just
Yeah.
like put a bit of respect on the t-shirt. So
Oh,
I have
man.
to come back with a pretty hefty front squat before I'm allowed to wear that.
Yeah.
That
You
was
gotta
my
earn it.
goal. That was my goal setting. Yeah, got to earn it, man. Got to. That was a little goal I set last year, which I can see it being achieved this year. I can see the numbers are going the
Nice.
right way. So
Yeah, boy.
yeah, man. Yeah. We got how long we got 80 kilos to go.
Oof.
Just for a
All right.
single,
I'll
though. Just
just.
for a single. So we're good. We're good. Just for a single. We're
Cool.
okay.
That's still more than me. I'll just throw myself in the bar as well.
Come on down, G. Come on down. We'll
Yeah.
do some Bradley Martin
Exactly.
crazy shit.
Yeah. What's Bradley Martin do?
Bradley Martin's a guy on YouTube who is a muppet, but he's brutally strong. Got to give him what the credit that I've got to give that guy, man. Like,
Yeah.
as a tag team partner, I'd probably pick him in terms of YouTube aficionados. You got to go
Yeah.
Juji Mufu, who's just a crazy
Yes.
guy, right? You got
Yeah.
to think about him. You got to think about, I don't know, just fitness people that make YouTube channels. The Stoltman brothers. I don't know if you checked out the Stoltman brothers before. That they're strongmen from
Okay.
Scotland. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. He was Luke Stockman was just in World's Strongest Man, isn't he? Yeah.
there you go. There you go. Yeah, beast, right?
Yeah.
He finished. His brother Tom finished second this year, which is amazing. He's
Oh,
actually got
sick.
autism.
Yeah.
He's actually got autism, and
Right.
he talks about that a lot on his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, both of them monsters. But I think Bradley Martin in some ways would get some look in if you had to pick like a tag team partner for like a crazy battle royal. It had to be a fitness YouTuber. I don't know. My mind's going some crazy place. Stop
Yeah.
me, man. Stop me.
I love it. Sideways action is
That's
jokes.
it. That's
That's
it. Yeah,
where
man.
that's where ideas come from.
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of my goals for 2021. What about yourself, man?
Ooh, ooh. Is For me, it's more. I haven't thought about it from like the yearly perspective. I'm definitely I want to keep going what I started last year. Of just feel like I'm pushing, not pushing, like pulling myself towards that better version of myself, like all the time. It's like I remember how Matthew McConaughey talked about it when he won his Oscar for Dallas Buyers Clubs, and he was just like, I'm not worried about now. I'm talking about the guy in 10 years from now. When I get to that guy in 10 years, it's like, okay, I'm talking about the next guy 10 years from now, and like next guy. So every whatever, he might have had a 10-year plan or something. And he's like, it's not about now, it's about who I'm going to be in 10 years time. And so just keep evolving and keep moving forward in that. And for me, I just want to take my services up to the next level as well. I've already started doing that as well. I've incorporated a new feature into my program as well to help people get better results. And that's let people in on a little secret. Involves this bad boy using
Yeah,
the whip
buddy.
strap.
I love it.
And so it becomes part of my service as well. So people get this objective, quantifiable data on their fitness, recovery, stress, and sleep. And so it helps you make better decisions around your day-to-day activity, as well as making sure that you are taking care of yourself to the best you can. Like if you're on a red recovery, let's say, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to do everything I can. Red just doesn't mean it means you're not great. And you haven't recovered as well as you could have from the previous day. So okay, I'm going to do some things which I need to take care of myself a little bit more, and then incorporating that data into the service I provide, so that people can go, okay, this was the kind of day I had, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can advise on the best thing to do based on the kind of day that you're showing up with, and yeah, so that's gonna be exciting. And so I've started using it with a new client that I picked up last week. So yeah, exciting times, man. Just little things like that, and then yeah, it's gonna feel good. It's gonna be a good year for that. Just I said to my bro, I was like, I got no choice. I've got no choice but to make things better.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's it, man. Fuck yeah. That's what it feels like. It's like, am I going the other way? Am I going back to, am I ever going to hit like what I talked to you about before? Vacuous mediocrity? Fuck no. I just don't want to be there. And so this is part of that. So yeah, like I said, man, no choice but to do better.
I love that, man. I love that. I think in terms of running with that goal, because yeah, that's a common goal with both of us. It's communication, I think, for me is going to be a big one, and taking time to reflect on all moments in terms of, okay, where is my mind right now? What am I thinking? Can I be giving myself? Can I be sprinkling a little bit of gratitude on myself right now? Can I be thinking about, okay, the next thing? Almost just being more in the moment. We talk about it, but sometimes when you're in the moment, I'd say it's like learning a new exercise. Okay, firstly you learn the motion, and you're comfortable with, my arm starts here, finishes here, and then I get back to here again. Okay, sound. I've got that down. But then there's nuances within that, and there's a breathing platform around it. There's a opposite counterforce around it. There's all these different little layers, and I feel like when we're going through life right now, the first layer should be to have autonomy of your own mind and control of your own kind of, you're not being led by the situation, but you're leading yourself through the situation. You've got your hand on the wheel. And I feel like last year was a time where that slowly starts to come together, and I feel like fairly set. When my hand's not on the wheel, I feel it now. Whereas before, I feel like I didn't really stop to think twice. Whereas now I'm like, oh wow, this is not on. Like I'm much more in tune with my body, and it's when it's giving me a message to say, you're not aligned here. Like this is off. We need to bring our attention here, whether that be a physical thing, like I can't quite breathe the way I was breathing yesterday, I can't quite move the way I was moving yesterday, or it'd be a mental thing, like I'm not expressing myself the way I need to express myself, or I'm not just moving forward the way I want to move forward. I feel like that is coming to the forefront of my mind, and then it's a case of, okay, being aware of all those little stations, but then taking the time to reflect on that thought. And I've started journaling properly now. I've started that's the thing you say, hey, I've started journaling, and I know it's going to go well, but I'm just making a point to just have it handy, and then like it's my pen, like that's gonna just, it's gonna just allow me to get it from here to there, so I can objectively look at it. You know what I mean? The same thing we talk about. And I feel like by making that a practice, I'm spending more time in those thoughts. Like sometimes we can have thoughts here, and previously you were talking, and through the whole thing there was other things that kind of went off in my brain, and I've had to leave a few of them there. And I'd love to just the ability to kind of go back and be like, oh, can I just have that? Give me some Infinity Stones, man. I want to go back and get them. But yeah, that having it on paper definitely allows you to go back and revisit how you felt at that time, and slowly just piece together whether this is something that this is a thread you need to pick at. You know what I mean? And that's something that I know I want to do this year, is be more present in my thoughts, because ultimately I know that that's going to lead to me being more effective. And we have to trust ourselves. We have to trust, like I say it to myself sometimes when I've got a weight to lift or I've got a job to do in the gym, I'll say, trust your strength. Like just trust your strength. Like trust your ability. Like, you wouldn't be here in this position if you didn't have, if it wasn't in some way written. You know what I mean? Like if it wasn't some way coded in you, or just to be your path. You know what I mean? So in that, if you fail with it, it's gonna happen. Okay, cool. Hopefully it won't go so bad that you can't try again. But if you don't, then you're just going to learn from it, right? And that's all these things of kind of being aware with it, seeing it written down, these practices, holding myself to the account, like you talked about earlier, showing up to this podcast. It's led to so many amazing things. And now if I can do that with myself, external to this, then bring the new version of me every week, but with more awareness than I had last time. That's it, man. That's the win, and that's the win. It's the same as putting the heavier weight on the bar. It's the same as affirming what you were talking about earlier. With I love hearing about the science behind it. Right, you come with the Brian Huberman. There you go, Brian. Back to Brian. My mind literally just trolls me. I swear, it just like tosses up. Hey, catch this, Brian. Say Brian. Watch out, make him say Brian.
It cracks me up because Hemel messaged me after you made the last Instagram story about we'll be back next week. Last week, right?
Yeah.
And he messaged me. He goes, at least he got the name of the podcast right.
Yes.
It had me
take
in
the
stitches.
small wins, yeah. We take the small wins.
Exactly. I was like, yeah. It's just like doesn't get names right, man. That's just one thing about Umar. It's like he calls me G because he doesn't know my full name.
Nah, man. No,
I'm just kidding. But that true story though, that was the thing. Like because when I was at uni and I was introducing myself to people and like Freshers Week and stuff, it's louder. It's like music playing and everything like that. No one would pick up my name, so I just said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna just G." It's just G. That's basically how it started.
Oh, okay.
And then so people just started calling me G. And about 6 months in, and the people I was living with, they just went, "Hang on a sec, that's not your name, is it?" I'm like, wait, you don't know my name? I've known you for 6 months, and you thought G was my name.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty
exactly. Special. I was like, yeah, exactly. We have a special type on, don't we? That's what it felt like. Yeah, it was proper funny. But yeah, that was just something that came to my mind.
Hemel, what a legend. This guy's killing it, by the way. This guy's actually killing it, man. You're looking dense right now. So shout out to the man, Hemel. He's
dense Hemel.
He's making progress by being about it, by being about what we're talking about right now. I feel like he's definitely somebody who's taken to listen to the podcast every week. And he said to me earlier in the end of this week, when did we train? Yesterday. And he was like, yeah, later on today I'm going to go listen to some of the podcasts that I didn't listen to last year.
Cool.
Catch up on them, and he's waiting for this one, obviously. And you can see it in his mindset, man. I remember when we met, where he was in himself, and now, like we talk about, take ownership for ourselves. We can move to our wider family, move to our community, and look at the effects. There's another valuable person out there who can spread the word, man.
Yeah, respect. Big shout out to Hemel there. That's great. And listen to his episode as well. He came on the podcast and shared his experiences as a client, but also what it does for him. So you're not just hearing it from us; you're hearing it from people who we've affected. People we've been working with. And episode 21. I think it is. So
love that memory, man. It'd be good to. That's another thing. I talked to Simon Dutton. Come on, then. What episode Simon Dutton?
18.
Oh, Viper, nice shot. Love it. That Mamba mentality. That's what that was. I spoke to him over Christmas. Had a great chat with Simon, man. Lovely chat with him in regards to just upskilling and kind of being a better coach and watching this and listening to that. And he was like, I want to come back on. I want to share more shit and just kind of just be present to talk. And I feel like that will be a thing to have our past guests back on this next year. Just to be, okay, we haven't heard from you for so long. Right? Let's recount and see how things have changed, because they'll have their own version of what 2020 was for them and what 2021 holds.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because with Simon, he's out in Hong Kong as well, so that's going to be not just a different perspective but it's going to be a different perspective from a different part of the globe as well. So that'll be interesting.
Love it, man. Yeah, man. Love it. For sure, man. For sure.
Let's talk about goal setting. It's like the hot topic of January every year.
Yes.
is goal setting, and we figured that it would be a good thing to chat about so that we stop dilly dallying around with bullshit resolutions and actually make some serious change that we actually want to make as well. Because we
Mm,
can say the same things every year. It's like, oh yeah, it'd be nice if I did this, and it's not coming from the core of you. You're not saying it and resonating with it, and so it's the process of actually sitting down, getting comfortable with yourself, getting close to yourself, and then laying out some genuine goals off
mhm.
the back of that. So
Say it with your chest.
say it with your chest.
Say it with your chest. Come on, people.
that's
Let's go.
that's a great one. That's a good quote. It's like say it with your chest, exactly,
Yeah.
right? Come from a place where it actually means something rather
Hmm.
than what you think you're supposed to be doing. I think that is pretty key because and I had a conversation with a client. I was like, reflecting on 2020 and what's in store for you for 2021, and and it was really interesting hearing how this person was talking about one set of resolutions and then another set of resolutions, and the vibe was completely different. Like the second set, I was like, I can feel the energy. I can
Mm.
feel that you're pumped about this, and I'm like, this is amazing. I'm so happy for you in that. But all I got was a sense that in this first set of resolutions, that you're just saying things. Is You're saying the thing that you've probably said every year and feel like you need to do, or feel pressured to do, but it's not coming from within you. It's not genuine enough, and you may have the want for it, but you haven't tapped into it deep enough. The why. And it was really not like eye opening, but it was the juxtaposition, like right there, right then, was good to see because it
Mm.
made it clearer to me just how important this process actually is. And yeah, we're gonna riff on that a little bit. And what's your thoughts on accurate goal setting, which actually gets you places?
Yeah, great question, man. Great question. I think it's very apt. I got to go back to the name quickly first because the reason. So we said it earlier. The first goal I actually set for myself. I remember like physically actually being like, this is a thing. I'm aware of goals. I'm aware of like a goal based, just thinking forward, right? Thinking forward for myself. And the first goal I had for myself was gym related, or one of the most important goals back in the day was gym related. And I'd say the place I found myself in my life at the time needed me to take ownership in some way. So this is the way I chose first was to jump on this thing, take control of my life in the only way I could, right there and then at the time. There was other ways I could have done it, but this is the most obvious. And the mistake I made was going at it too hard, and what it led to was me developing the mindset that I'm still trying to unpick now, and that is putting gratitude on myself, is celebrating the small wins. And because what it was I took it to an extent which was like, until there is no more space to put weight on the bar, I won't be happy. And even then, I'll probably end up being like, where's the longer bar? Because we need to figure this shit out, right? And it sounds bananas to say that, but there's obviously things to add to that. But it's not being present in the moment enough to flesh out the goal, see the trajectory that you're currently on. Yes, you have a goal. Okay, right. Well, this is the end point. This is where we currently are now. Let's flesh in the middle. Let's flesh in the middle and see whether if your trajectory currently has it worked in the past, what information are you basing this on? You know what I mean? What information are you basing this path on? And how can we measure this? How can we be objective with certain goals? How can we allow ourselves to stay accountable to these goals? When I started this, I had none of those things in place, and it was just a pure case of forward aggression, and it was just kind of based upon me showing up and just kind of exerting myself every day. And it led me to such a blind place where for a lot of time that was the only card I had, whether it be with me, whether it be with a client, whether it be with anybody else. And that comes in varying degrees. When you're trying to work with other people, you realize quickly that, okay, well, if I need to think of other ways of moving this person forward, because they may not have the same reason to start as I did, which in a lot of cases people don't have 85 kilos to lose. So they have other ways of looking at their own goals. So I can't think that everyone's going to think how I think. But if I think about myself back in the day, I should have segmented things down. I should have looked at a small term goal, a medium term goal, a larger picture goal, put a slight time frame to these things, seen where my knowledge actually lacks. And sometimes that's a pretty ambiguous thing to say. Where does your knowledge lack? Because you don't know what you don't know. But if you can confidently say that you know when you're about it, you know when you've read a few things, you know when you've achieved a few things on the back of reading a few things and watched a few videos and implemented them, okay, I'm actually moving forward a little bit here. But you also know when you're not about that. I think at the start, the goal is there because you haven't achieved a certain thing in your life. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a goal in the first place. You would have it, you'd be happy, you'd be looking somewhere else. But you are looking at your fitness, for example. And right now, the evidence proves that the summation of your efforts in the gym, at home, in life, in everything has led you to where you are now, looking to still move forward. So being totally honest with yourself, which is something that I wasn't back in the day, should lead you to realize that there is gaps in the knowledge that needs to be filled in. So before we start to just run down a path and not really know what path you're running down and using every resource you can just to get you to the gym the next day, and in doing so shutting off other areas of your life like social and family time and rest and recovery, thinking and not actually seeing what the long-term implications of doing that are, maybe take it slower at the start, plan things properly, look at maybe a SWOT model. So a SWOT model was first introduced to me last year by Prescript actually. So SWOT stands in this context for strengths, opportunities, threats, and weaknesses, right? That's probably yeah. Oh, because with the O, it's with the O, not a with the O. SWOT. Yeah. Why did I say SWAT? I don't know why I said that. Yeah.
Just think of a
Anyway.
SWAT team.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So using a model like that will allow you to just objectively take your own opinion out of it, and see, okay, where are my strengths? Where are my weaknesses? Where am I good? Where am I bad? Basically, what are my opportunities to actually grow? And what are the threats that are going to keep me here and not moving forward? And just to provide a bit of context to that, we tend to know, okay, right, well, I've got pretty strong mindset. When I set myself to a task, I'll keep up with it. Or I've got a pretty weak mindset. It's going to go into this column. You know what I mean? When I set myself a task, if I've got nobody checking in on me, then I'm gonna fall off the wagon in 2 days. Okay, well, stick those in the columns. You know yourself. Use prior examples of yourself, because you can't compare to anybody else apart from yourself, especially when it comes to this kind of thing, because there's no other human out there who is you, right? So just look back on yourself. And in terms of opportunities, you can probably say that, okay, do you have time to prep your meals? Do you have time to listen to our fitness podcast? Do you have the expendable income, or can you save a little bit more to spend your way to more knowledge and a better experience working with a coach, working with somebody who's been there and done that? And then you're looking at threats, and like sometimes a threat for me was the fact that I couldn't communicate effectively enough to tell those around me that, look, this is what I'm doing and this is how I want to do it, and I need support with it, and can you give me some feedback if you feel I'm going the wrong way, the right way? I'd appreciate that. That was something that I had to personally work on. So using that framework in that rough context, I think would help, and I use it now with clients. Definitely helps them to look at themselves from a bird's eye perspective and see, okay, right, well, this is something I need to work on. That's a really cool thing. I can capitalize on that, but I need to watch out for this over here. And then, like we said, attaching a short, medium, and long-term goal to it, and slowly ticking it off along the way.
Yeah, exactly. Just being systematic about it, and some of the bigger things that tend to get missed out from it is essentially, what do you value and what's important to you to live the life that you want to live, and how does fitness come into that? So if we're talking about this this domain, because let's face it, I mean, most people, if not everyone, is going to have some sort of fitness goal that comes out of every new year that comes by. So, uh, and it's common, like I said, to just be like, you're saying a bunch of things that you want to achieve. Oh, I want to lose weight and I want to get fitter. Not saying with any kind of meaning. There's nothing behind it. There's nothing in it that's grounding you in actually succeeding in that. And so, if you're thinking that is something that you want to do, then you got to search for why you actually want to do it. Why is it important? Like, go deep into how it will affect the quality of your life and where you see yourself, and then that's how you get the meaning behind that goal. So if losing weight is an important goal for you, or if you've got a back problem or a knee niggle, or something where your body, you just feel stiff, you feel immobile, you feel like you can't rely on your body, you feel like you're trapped in your body, it's like, okay, well, if you tried in the past, which is something that could have happened, and you haven't succeeded in achieving it, then it doesn't mean that you can't achieve it, and it doesn't mean that it's a lost hope. You just have to just go back to understand, and so you can lose your meaning to it as well. It doesn't feel like it's worth doing, because you're like, oh, I've tried in the past and it's failed, and therefore you lose your motivation for it, and you lose the importance and lose the why. No, go back to that why, and flesh out all the reasons why it's important for you to achieve this goal. It's like, okay, if I have this, then I have the capacity to play with my children. I have that ability to go up the stairs without feeling like I'm going to fall over. I have the ability to do things and be less afraid of injuring myself when I do these things. I won't be afraid of, because I actually can rely on my body. I have confidence in my body, the way it operates and the way it looks and how I feel inside my body. I was like, okay, that's your why. That's what it is. It's not, I need to lose weight because losing 10 pounds is going to feel good. It's like, well, why does it feel good? So you stack up those reasons, and now all of a sudden a resolution which you think you should be doing becomes a resolution that you want to be doing. So that goal setting, an important part of that is to get into your why. Why do you want to do this? And create meaning around the objective. And if you can't create meaning around it, then scratch it off your list. It means it's not going to add anything to you. If anything, it's just going to create more consternation in your life by trying to achieve something which you can't find any intrinsic meaning for achieving. So forget it. So don't feel bad about the idea that you think you've got 10 pounds to lose maybe, or got a bit of weight to lose, and you can't find any good reason to actually do it, because you just, like, even if it is you can't be bothered, it's like, fine, just be happy with that, be in that place. So instead of feeling like you should do something, no, find the meaning behind it, and that meaning will reveal how important that thing is to you. And if it's important and you feel the importance of it, then put it on your list as the thing you want to do, and set that goal, and that's your big goal essentially. So that comes down to what you said there, the short, medium, long term. That's your long term goal. And then when you've created all those reasons why it's important to you, you feel the energy of that, then you're going to go into, all right, well, how am I going to execute this? So like the short-term goals are like what I would call like the process goals, as well as, okay, what am I going to do about this on a day-to-day basis to actually make this long-term goal happen? So you have the long-term goal, you have that vision, you stay tight on that vision, and you keep it at the forefront of your mind every day. And I even say, it's like, you got to write these things down, because for a lot of people it's going to be new to you. Then because it's new to you, is something that you can easily forget about, right? It's like if you're just reading something and you find something out and you're like, oh, that's interesting, but if you don't get the chance to recall it a week later, you're like, oh wait, what was that thing again? It's the same thing with stuff that is new to you. Even if it is important to you, you have to keep it at the forefront of your mind, so it's becomes stronger. That vision and that image of you achieving your goal becomes stronger in your mind, and that allows you to perpetuate your efforts rather than stop starting because you've forgotten the value of it to you. So keeping it at the forefront of your mind. And then when you've so that's part of the process goals as well, the day-to-day stuff, but also what action are you going to take to make that end goal happen? Is okay, well, I'm going to get my nutrition on point, and I'm going to do this one little thing every day until I've nailed that habit, and I'm going to move on to the next thing and build on that and build on that and build on that. And it's that consistency, with it. So the long-term goal filled in with the process goals, and having that big reason attached to that goal is much more effective goal setting than at a whim just making a New Year's resolution. And the whim can give you an indication of what you are after, because it's like, okay, you're saying it, you think it's important, it might be important to you, but you have to actually investigate and explore whether it genuinely is important to you. If it ain't, then get it off the list. If it is, great, find all the make all the reasons that it is important, and then have that clear vision, and then have your process goals, like the stuff you can do day to day to get yourself to that place. Because it's all well and good having that end goal, but in a way, once you have it, you park it, you don't worry about it, you just have the vision of it, and you just do the things you need to do on a day-to-day basis to make it happen.
I feel like that while you were talking, I was putting myself in the shoes of somebody who may be listening to this right now, and people that we've come into contact with before, people that talk about it, and they'll book a consultation, they'll sit down with you, and they'll show promise, but then for some reason, and it's not really a life circumstance situation. They have things in time. They have funds, they have thoughts about it, but they don't show up, and then it's a non-starter. And you think, oh well, whatever happened to that person? Why did they? Where are they now? And I feel like that human there didn't do the initial groundwork, didn't dig their trench deep enough. And I remember how I felt when I still had to get after what I had to get after. And I still feel it now. I still feel the burn inside me that I am not living up to my potential. I'm not actually being as effective as I could be. And I'm living the physical manifestation of that. I'm living the life that I don't want to live. You know what I mean? And then there's so many facets to that. We'll go into it now. But I feel like while you were talking, I almost thought of the analogy in my head where you have like a builder's coming to your house to look at an extension. Okay, we're actually looking to fundamentally change the shape of your house. Fantastic. We'll sit down, and he scribbles it on the back of a fag packet, and yeah, I'll see you in 2 weeks. All right, cool. 4 weeks later, mate, you coming around? Yeah, I'll be around Tuesday. Yeah, cool. We'll see you later. And nothing gets done. Nothing fundamentally gets changed. And that's because that initial meeting wasn't deep enough. And what you're talking about, creating the why, this is a practice that I feel like we can talk about it, but if you've never actually done it, you've never actually experienced a change, and nothing's ever rocked your bed, and nothing's ever changed your foundation, and actually moved you, that's powerful, man. That's really powerful to see yourself in a way that I'm not happy. I'm actually not happy. That's such a powerful thing to say. And then attaching it to a certain part of your life, talking to somebody about it, making it concrete, and then I feel like the steps can come. But that initial stage, we can't emphasize enough how important that it actually is to, just like I said, dig that trench a little deeper. When you think you've dug it enough, go and check that you really, really have visited that part of your mind, because you've almost got to be present in the pain for you to want to never be there again. Last year we quoted 100%. That the girl, what's her name? The Instagram, I can't remember what her name was, but she said, "Pain is the fuel of revolution."
Yes.
But unless you feel the pain, there ain't gonna be no revolution. You need to feel that. You need to be in that and live in that for a minute, and more than a minute sometimes. Actually walk around in it and feel uncomfortable, and actually be present in this shit, because this is ultimately what's going to move you forward. And that's it. That's the thing that's going to cause you to actually shake a little bit, because ultimately we can't go forward knowing these foundations are going to stay, but I'm going to build on top of them. So no, I need to wreck the shop. I need to move it all
Yes.
out to the side and start building from the pieces. And this has to come down. This structure has to come down. And to do that, it's going to be very painful. It's going to be very painful. And like we've had it before, I'm sure you've had it, G, where clients cry, you feel very emotional, and that's a totally normal reaction. It's a totally normal
Yeah.
reaction for someone like us. If someone sits across the room for you now and has that kind of reaction, you're almost expecting it, because this is the course that you're on right now. This is actually
Yeah.
where it should start. You should start by feeling like you aren't there yet, and that's okay.
Mm,
That's okay.
exactly.
But feeling, but living in that feeling and actually fully immersing yourself in it is very necessary. And the fact that you feel pain and you have a reaction to cry is totally human. Like we would, but I think the bigger danger is never actually fully immersing yourself in the low, so you can never ever experience the high. You just
Yes.
stay at the. This guy from the Joe Rogan Experience is coming to mind now, who talked about this, and I don't know what his name was. I can't actually find this clip ever again, but I remember it so clearly. It was that he was just talking about living his life at zeros and ones, where he was just homeless, walking through towns, living here, living there, and I think he'd done endurance races as well, where he's the only person for hundreds of miles, and he has to just survive and get through
Mm,
this. Otherwise, no one will ever find him. Like he's just gone, he's dead to the world.
right.
And then having that low and having that kind of, obviously he's chosen it, but it's still a horrible position to be in. But then the opposite end of that being, okay, now I get to live and actually have perspective on the thing I want to move towards. You have to experience the low to experience any kind of high. So
Mm,
yeah, I think like goal setting, the real um, yeah, the real foundation is built upon being in that and fully immersing yourself, feeling okay that this can be painful, but I need to do this. I need to fully
mm,
see and look underneath the hood and be like, oh shit, this is a
yeah.
problem. There's a problem
Yes.
there.
Yeah. Exactly. You've touched on something fundamental. There is be in touch with your pain.
Mm.
It's you're so right, man. You're so true, because if you keep sugarcoating it to yourself, you're you're doing yourself a disservice. You're actually not helping yourself out. You have to you have to go there to know how important it actually is for you to get better. And I said it earlier: is you have no choice but to be better. You have no choice but to do better, and you can take comfort from that in like treating it like you have no choice. Because if it's a great line. Like me and my bro rewatched Collateral, the Tom Cruise Jamie Foxx movie.
Mm. Okay.
We rewatched it the other night, and Tom Cruise used a line in there because he's essentially holding Jamie Foxx hostage as a cab driver and making him drive around places while he goes around killing people because he's an assassin. And he just goes to him, take comfort in the fact that he never had a choice. And it's like, yeah. And but if you do that for yourself, it's like, okay, you set yourself this goal, and we've talked about it before, make it non-negotiable, right?
Mm.
Is make these actions towards that goal non-negotiable, and then you can take comfort in the fact that you never gave yourself a choice, that there was no way that it was going to go except for you taking action
Yeah.
instead of creating some discomfort around it,
Mm-hmm.
and creating some consternation and feeling like there's there could, because there is pain around taking that action as well. You're moving away from a part of you that you recognize and are familiar with, even if it is a painful place to be. Familiarity is something painful to move yourself away from. So
Mm.
when you keep moving forward, you do have to kind of treat it as like taking comfort from the idea that you never had a choice, from the fact that you never had a choice, that you didn't give yourself a choice, and there's only choice to get better, and then take comfort from the fact that you're going to be getting somewhere which is much better than you actually thought and envisioned for yourself as well. So
Mm.
being in touch with that pain, what you said there is super necessary, and I do it regularly as well. That's why I always bring up vacuous mediocrity. That's my thing. Is like, if I feel like that is ever coming on, I'm like, it just makes me shudder, man. It just makes my chest cave in. I'm like,
Mm.
nah, that's not an option for me. So I feel good about just trying to do things that make me better. So that's a big takeaway, I think.
Mm. That's yeah, man. I completely agree. Being in touch with your pain, I like what you said there. And I think
Mm,
that at the start, this is also worth saying. I feel immediately like when I say something which is quite intense like that, I should
mm,
almost find a middle ground for somebody listening to this, saying, look, it is tough, but at the same time, it's a process, right? And you may come in day one, and I've had clients in the past where the client is kind of, okay, let's get started, like kind of let's just get on with it, and you're like, okay, I can see there's a bit of avoidance happening here. Like we got to talk about this a bit more, but I don't want to pry because I don't feel like you're ready to go there. But then in weeks to come, it's going to go one way. Like we have to get to a place where you tell me that, or usually it goes to that place where you tell me that, okay, I'm not happy with this, or unfortunately this is going on in my life. And sometimes it's a thing that's completely out of your control. You didn't choose this, and it's affecting you in a negative way, and now it's just something that we have to deal with, right? But going there day one sometimes is very tough. It's very tough.
Yes.
So I think if you're out there thinking about doing this, to use my own goal for this year, applaud yourself a little bit, because you're planting the seed in your own head to be like, look,
Yep.
something needs to change. Something actually needs to change. I'm happy that I'm having this thought. I'm happy that this is coming into me through whatever power that may be, the universe or whatever. Thank you, because without that thought, well, I would be left to what you said, the vacuous mediocrity and just kind of just be floating through life. But instead, there's a little tinkle there. There's a little light at the end of the tunnel for me, right? And I want to pull on that thread. So you may not be ready right now, but take some action. Take some action. Be acknowledging of the thought, and then start to create your own little framework around it. Whether it be, okay, research people around you can help, or a video here, a talk there, a conversation there, and before you know it, you might actually fall into your strength. You might fall into more strength and take bigger steps, because not everyone's ready to just bear all and say, okay, look, I fucked up, or like, I'm in a place where I'm not happy. But hopefully you will be one day, and this is the first step.
Yes, exactly. Take that step, and you won't regret it.
Definitely not, man. Definitely not. Yeah, let's hear it, people. Let's hear your goals for 2021. Like I feel like we talked about this earlier off air, moving it to the people and more interaction from you guys listening to this right now. Like Hemel, big shout out. Sam, massive shout out. Amy, shout out. Everybody else that writes in. Raminda always has a comment, always tags us in stuff. Jude, solid. Simon, Bilal, always TJ.
Everyone.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Everyone. Just people that come to mind right now. But everybody else, listen to this. Johannes, I'm talking to you, my man.
Okay.
Right? Let's send in. Let's talk about it. Let's keep each other accountable. Yeah,
Exactly. Man. That's a good place to leave it, man.
For sure, man. For sure.
That was great. Good to see you again, man.
100%, my man.
Get this conversation rolling again for 2021. It's epic. I'm glad just greased the rails a little bit again. Just dusted off, brushed off the rust. Felt good.
I love it.
Felt
Too
good.
right, man. Too right. Yeah, and this it's going to be more than talking about it. It's gonna be fundamental change, and that's if we've set the stage last year in the ways of setting this thing up. Now we got to stand on it, and we got to run with it now. So yeah, let's go, people. Let's go.
Exactly. Let's go, people. Make 2021 your year, the start of the rest of your life.
Love it. Love it.
Exactly.
See you next time. You signed off?